You should have, I've just made you the presenter.
Yep, I just started it.
Okay.
So you should be seeing my cover slide.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. I'm going to start now, okay?
Great.
Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Dale. I'm sorry about that. We have a new phone system here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I apologize. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rocio. How are you? Thank you all for joining us today on this regional webinar. We have today Dale Denham from Geiger, who is the CIO at Geiger, and he is responsible for all e-commerce and IT functions. Dale was named to Computer World's premier 100 IT leaders list for 2015 for his exceptional technology leadership and innovative approach to business challenges. Today, he brings us a great session I'm very excited to learn from. He will cover the top 10 technologies that we can all use to make our lives or days more efficient. Dale, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thanks everybody for joining in. We're going to move quick and try to leave time for some question and answers, but if you have questions as we go along, please use the question box or chat box, and they will get sent to me, and I'll either address them as we go, or I'll address them at the end if time allows. At the bottom of the screen right now, you see slideshare.net/therealdaledenham. That's where you can find every slide that I'm going to show you today. So if you miss anything or want to take a note or take a note that doesn't mean something to you and need to see the presentation again, every single slide is available at slideshare.net/therealdaledenham. I will show that slide at the end as well. And again, on Twitter as well, I am @DaleDenham. And you can reach me on Twitter today if you @DaleDenham. So if you're on Twitter and you want to shout out there that you're taking this session, that'd be great. This is my most popular session right now, and I keep revising it as I get questions in these sessions. The last session or so ago, somebody asked me about a great expense tracking tool, and so I've added that. So I add some and drop some, and to be quite frank, we're going to do more than 10 technologies today, but we're going to focus on 10 with a little extra time. So with that, I'm going to get started. And again, please send your questions as you go, as I go. The first thing is you can read here. It says, let's see, faster than a speeding bullet. Strength of 1,000 men can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Very impressive resume. But how are you with Excel? And the reason I bring this up is today we all use technology. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my webcam for those of you who want to look at me here and there. And technology today, one of my favorite things is the video side of things. And more, the more we use technology today, the more people benefit, the more you benefit, and the more you can drive your sales. And that's how I'm going to focus today, is how do we help you, already a great salesperson, sell even more. So there are lots of alternatives. I'm going to cover a lot of different topics today. And like the first one I'm going to start with is a password manager. If you're already using a password manager and you like it, stick with that password manager. This is not about trying to get you to change to a specific tool. But the tools that are out there, I've picked my favorite that I like and that I use. But if you're using a different one and you're happy with it, you don't need to switch. You can just say, oh, I've already got that one. But if I'm talking about this particular tool, maybe you'll see something you like better or not. And then you can always ask a question of me later. But again, this is the most important point because I always get people say, what about this? Well, I don't use those other tools, so I don't know as well. The first tool, though, what I want to tell you about today is Lastpass. And this is becoming more and more important than ever. And I like to tell a story in this session about somebody who attended one of my sessions where I talked about I'm not very worried about my privacy. And this person was much more worried about their privacy because of something that happened to them. And to make a long story short, their email had gotten hacked. And once their email was hacked, this was a sophisticated enough hacker that they were able to go into the bank and reset the person's bank account, because your bank account gets reset to your email. So when their email got hacked, the hacker actually got into the bank and withdrew funds. They did eventually get their money back, but it took them months to get their money back. So I can't stress how important security is, and in particular, your banking password and your email password. Those should be highly unique and very difficult to guess. And when I say highly unique, what I mean is don't use the same password for your email or your bank as any other password. Because if you're using a password for, say, Facebook, and if your Facebook account gets hacked out there and that password gets released into the wild, then the hacker can say, oh, I know Dale Denham at Geiger.com, and he has a password of 12345. Let me go and see if he uses that for his email. And if so, now they can get into essentially every account you have. So please change your password for your email and your bank accounts immediately. Now that being said, it gets very complicated. So we have all sorts of suppliers that we address, right? And we have all sorts of different websites that sometimes we have our credit card in, such as Amazon, and sometimes we don't, such as maybe some news site that we just read our news, but we like to have that there. How do you keep up with all those passwords? And I know I have over 100 passwords, and the way I know that is Lastpass is keeping track of them all for me. But I never actually create passwords anymore, because on my mobile phone that I'm talking to you on, as well as on my iPad, as well as on my laptop, I use Lastpass. So every password I have is in one place. Now that's a big risk too. If my Lastpass account gets hacked, then I have got all my passwords out there for anyone. So there's a risk there, and I don't have my bank account in there, but I do have my email in there. So I am at risk. But I'm at a far lower risk because of how secure Lastpass is. So I encourage you to get Lastpass. Let me show you what it looks like. Oh, and one more thing about your Lastpass password. It needs to be really, really unique and very difficult to get. Well, the problem with that is sometimes you forget that. But if you forget that, you can't get into Lastpass to identify what that password was. So believe it or not, my recommendation for your Lastpass password is to write it down and put just enough information that if you forget it, you know where to go and you can guess the password. So let's say my password was 12345 password. I might write down on a piece of paper 12 space 4 space space SWO space space. And that would remind me, oh yeah, it's 1234 password. I change this password every year, and I always write it down when I change it because I always forget for a couple of days until it sticks in my brain. But here's how Lastpass works. First and foremost, when you visit any website, it says, what's your email, what's your password, right? So rather than typing that in, I just click the little asterisk button that you see there, and when you click it, it drops down, and now you can see when I click the one-to-one GW here, it fills in the password and the username for me. That's it. That's how I get into every website. I never type in these passwords. I don't even know what they are most of the time. This is another important tool. So if I go back to this previous screen, if I don't have a password and I want to generate a password, I can click the little asterisk, and it will bring up the ability to press this button here, which is the little lock. When I press that, it will actually generate a password for me. And I can tell it how long that password should be, what type of characters it needs to have, and then I can hit Use Password, and it will save it into my password vault. So you know, you get to a new site and you're like, oh, I got to create a new password. So we all go to whatever password we always use. This eliminates that. This gives you a secure password for every site. All you have to do is hit Use Password. If you did type in a password, and you went to a website and you typed in one because you remembered it, Lastpass is going to come up and say, hey, would you like me to save this today? Is this a password you want to use in the future? And if you say Save Site, it saves it for you. So you don't have to go in and populate Lastpass with every password. However, when you install Lastpass, it will come up and say, do you want to import all your passwords from Chrome or IE or whatever browser it is that you use? And you should answer yes to that. And the scary thing is, if Lastpass can read all those passwords, so can a hacker. And that's why it's not good to use Chrome or IE's local password storage. It's not as safe as Lastpass is. Here's one more view of Lastpass. If you click the button in your browser bar, which I use Chrome, if you click that button, you can see the details of the URL, the name of the site, your username, and the password. And if I were to click this little eyeball button where my mouse is right now, in fact, I should move my mouse to be a little bit, I'll just make it a little easier for you to see. I could click this button right here, and it would show me what my password is for this site. And then you have other options, such as to make this a favorite and not have it autofill. If it's a sensitive password, you can have it require the password reprompt, or you can have it automatically log you in so you don't even have to click the enter button. When you hit that site, it fills it in and you're done. That's Lastpass. I've talked a little bit about Lastpass being safer than Chrome. It has the auto-generate tool, which Chrome doesn't, and it gives me the ability to look up passwords wherever I am. So I'm a big fan of Lastpass. Lastpass is free. You can pay $12 a year for the premium version. I do, but there's not a lot of value in the premium version over the free version. At one point, you needed it to use it on mobile. For now, though, try it for free, and if it works, don't bother paying the $12. So that's Lastpass, but the other options out there, there are many good ones. Somebody just asked about 1Password. That's another good one. All I can say is that I've been using Lastpass for 2 years, and it is very secure and very good. So if you're already using a different one, stick with it if you're happy. I have no problems with any of the ones that I'm aware of. Okay, with Chrome. Most people have started to move to Chrome in my seminars, but it's still amazing to me how many people are not using Chrome as their browser. And I encourage everybody to get out there and download Chrome, use it. It's faster, it's free, it's simpler. There's a couple of things I'm going to show you about it. The one important statistic for you to know is that 42% of all web users, as of I think December of last year, were using Chrome. 17% were using Internet Explorer, 15% Firefox, 14% Safari. Right now, when you're developing applications, you develop for wherever the majority of users are. So at Geiger, we develop applications for our salespeople, and when we develop them, we're focused on Chrome. Now, we have to pay attention to Safari because it's the default browser on most iPads and well, on all iPads and Mac machines. So we know that's important. But here in Internet Explorer and Firefox, they're too small because if you add them together, they don't even add up to Chrome. So right now, most businesses are focusing on Chrome for new features. So that's one reason to get involved with Chrome. The next thing is really nice. I can log in on my laptop here, and I get all the same as if I log in on a computer at an office or in a hotel. I can bring all that with me to a new computer. So all my information is stored in the cloud, such as bookmarks and things like that, which essentially is a great backup. And there's a couple really great extensions that I use in Chrome that I want to talk to you about. The first one is AdBlock. The next one is called Clearly. And then the next two are Evernote and Lastpass. And we've already talked about Lastpass. But let me talk about these other ones. AdBlock is phenomenal. So you can see here a screen that I captured. AdBlock literally blocks ads on web pages for you. This makes your websites run faster, and it makes it easier for you to read what's on the page. So let's take a look at a page that this was a page with an ad. It's really kind of hard to grasp in terms of sight. But this is the exact same page over here without ads. So I get more copy and more relevant things, and it drops the ads out that you see here. Those ads are gone because AdBlock blocked them for me. So the page loaded faster, and I could see more. So I use AdBlock. Once you start using AdBlock, you'll be amazed how much easier it is to browse the web. It's phenomenal. It's free. So to find AdBlock, you just Google AdBlock extension, and it will take you directly to where you need to go to download AdBlock. The next extension I like to use, and there's a lot of extensions, but because I'm an Evernote fan, I use Clearly. And that's this little light bulb button, and if you download Evernote Clearly, this is that same web page and the same amount of screen real estate, but look how much more of the article I can read. So Clearly and things like readability and other tools let you read articles on the web much simpler. And I use Evernote Clearly because it makes it really easy to take that and push it right into Evernote, which we'll talk about later. So that's Chrome and a couple of key extensions on Chrome. The next thing I want to talk with you about is Dropbox. Most everybody in seminars that I'm sharing today is using Dropbox, so I don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but it is really, really powerful. Your stuff is everywhere. You get to share it securely. Whether you're using Box, Google, OneDrive, or Dropbox, they're all good. Pick your favorite. I tell people Dropbox is the absolute easiest. It's the easiest of all of them to use, so I still recommend it. I will tell you about OneDrive in a few minutes, though. Well, actually, now I'll tell you OneDrive. I'm moving all my files to OneDrive because OneDrive comes with Office 365, and you get a terabyte. Actually, you get unlimited storage. But I still use Dropbox because OneDrive's a bit quirky still. I think in the next year that will change. I'm not recommending you switch from Dropbox today because I'm still struggling with OneDrive. But if you're not using Dropbox, I actually would start with Microsoft OneDrive. And just in case you don't know what these files, what these are, the way it works is this is my computer, and these are my files in my Dropbox folder. That's on my computer that I'm presenting to you on now. I can grab any file. If I go to my iPad or my Android phone, those same exact files, as you can see, are available to me on this mobile device. And if I'm at a hotel and I don't have my phone or I don't have my laptop, I can go on anybody's device into a web browser to Dropbox, and I can get those same files. So this is why Dropbox and other tools are very cool. But one thing most Dropbox users don't know or don't use is the ability to automatically upload your photos. So I have 4 children. I take a lot of pictures. My wife takes even more than me. When she takes pictures, what happens? Her device fills up. And when her device fills up, she thinks, oh, no, I don't want to delete any photos because I got to get to my computer. Well, we solved that by going into the settings of Dropbox and turning on the camera upload, which means every photo on my phone automatically shows up in my Dropbox account. Now, I have it set to upload only when I'm on Wi-Fi. That saves me space, my bandwidth, so I don't chew up bandwidth and get extra fees. But once that's done, I can delete the photos off my phone because they sit in my Dropbox account. I then move them out of Dropbox on a computer to where I store all my digital photos so that I don't use up all my Dropbox space. Another thing people don't know about Dropbox is you can right-click a file, and when you do, there's the ability to share a Dropbox link. This allows you to share a link rather than attaching the file into an email. And finally, here's the price comparison. Dropbox is free for 2 gigabytes. OneDrive is free for 15 gigabytes. Google Drive is free for 15 gigabytes. But here's the kicker. Office 365 is $99 a year. You get a free terabyte, really unlimited data with that 365. So rather than pay $99 just for a terabyte, pay $99 and get Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Exchange, Skype, all those things included. That's why I'm moving to OneDrive, because that's smarter for me than paying $100 a year for Dropbox. But Dropbox is not a backup tool, because if I delete something from Dropbox on purpose or accidentally, it's gone. So I still use CrashPlan for all my home computers. And I have 2 boys who have their own computer, and my wife and I have a ton of pictures. So we back up everything to an external hard drive using CrashPlan, and that same software, CrashPlan, not only puts it on our external hard drive, but it puts it out to the cloud. So if my house were to burn down or we were to be robbed, all my information is stored up in the cloud in CrashPlan, and I can get to it. But if I just had a computer crash, I could grab that external hard drive, hook it up to a new computer, and restore immediately from there. That's much faster than restoring from the Internet. All right, so I'm going to take a quick pause. If you have any questions related to Dropbox, CrashPlan, or anything I've said so far, I'm going to take a quick break, and Rocio, if there's anything coming in, shoot it my way. If not, I'll keep moving on.
Nope,
All right, I don't see anything, but I'll pause again in a minute here, because the next slide is Office 365. So with Office 365, I already mentioned that you pay $99 a year, and you get all of this software. The trick is, once you stop paying the $99, you don't get to use the software anymore. So most of us are used to paying $400 for the software and keeping it for 5 or 10 years. Well, that makes it more like $50 a year as opposed to $100 a year. So the benefit to this, besides the OneDrive, which is the primary benefit I see today, that you get the new applications as soon as they come out. You also have the ability to use them on your iPad. You can use them on multiple devices, and all of your files sync up nicely using Office 365. So I'm a fan of Office 365 and think everybody should be moving that direction, not buying installed software. The next tip I like to talk about is autocorrect. And I'm going to move this off of here because I need this for a minute. There we go. So the next is autocorrect. And this is where, if you look here, if I were to type GGG into a document, an email, it would automatically replace it with Geiger Gets It. So let's just do that real quick, and I'll show you how this works. I like to show this. So I'm going to type in GGG and hit the space. Oops, got to do all capitals. And you can see just by hitting the space bar, it changes. I can also do GGG, and it puts in my email address. If I do GG, it puts in my other email address. So this is the shortcut, and that's how it changes into my email address. The way you do that is you go into Office, and you choose File, Options, and remember, these slides are available, so if you don't write this down quick enough, you can go to these slides. File, Options, Proofing, Autocorrect Options. That's going to take you to this screen. You type in what you want to replace, in this case, GGG. As soon as you hit the space bar, it will replace it with whatever you type in over here. I use this for emails. I also use it for web addresses. So we're doing the PPAI Technology Summit. It's got a URL I can't remember. So I type in PPA Tech, I hit the space bar, and immediately it puts the full URL in for me. I don't have to remember it or type it in for me. So that's the autocorrect option. Once you change something in autocorrect for Word or Excel or any of them, that will change in all of your Office applications. So if you change it in Word, it'll affect Outlook and PowerPoint, and you can use it in all of those. 2 questions did come in. One was, is Office 365 compatible with the Mac? The answer is yes, absolutely. In fact, it's compatible with the iPad as well. And the next is, can you use the Office 365, the Office 365 storage solution from the iPad and the iPhone? Yes, you can. The Office 365 solution is called OneDrive, and it has an app that works with the iPad and iPhone as well. I will say it doesn't work as well as Dropbox, but it does work. All right, so those are the questions so far, so I'm going to keep going. Autocorrect also works on your Mac, or excuse me, on your iPhone and your iPad. And this is really, really useful. You can see I've got the same thing here. Notice in this case the G's are lowercase. These are case sensitive. So if you put them all uppercase or all lowercase, you will run into problems if you don't put it in the right way when you want the shortcut to work. You'll want to go back and grab this screen. This is the easiest way to set up your autocorrect. You go into your settings. You go to where the number 1 is here and you click General. You go to where number 2 is and you click Keyboard. And then finally you go to number 3 and you click Add New Shortcut. And when you do that, this pops up. And now, and this is where emails are really good, you're typing on your iPhone. Instead of typing in your email address, you just type in DDD, hit the space bar, and it replaces it with your email address. This is where I get a ton of value out of autocorrect. Now, here's one of my favorite things to do, and this is one that you need to be doing more of, and Google does it better than Apple, but both are really good. So on my phone, if I want to send you a message and I'm driving or I'm somewhere where no one else is around, there's a microphone at the bottom of your keyboard. Press that microphone and start talking your emails rather than typing them. The voice recognition is so good that you will see 90+% correct. Actually will be better than most autocorrect using your fingers. If you're from the South, you do have to speak a little bit slower. And I've tested this with my friends from the South. Even though I'm from Florida, you know that's not from the South. And since most of you are probably in the Northeast, you probably need to speak a little bit slower too, because Siri can't keep up with the pace and energy that we have up in the Northeast. So if you're not using voice recognition today, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Now, you still need to text in meetings. You can't do that with your voice, so you're still going to use your keyboard a lot. But I've gotten to the point now where half of my messages on my iPad and my phone are dictated with my voice, and then I go and make whatever minor edits, and it is so much easier. And I assure you that at a stoplight, it is much safer than doing this while you're waiting for the light to turn green. You press that button, you say, I'm driving right now, I'll get back to you in a few minutes, or give me a call, period. You hit send, and you're done. Really, really powerful. And actually, you can play with it on Google. If I were to, let's just do it. We'll open up a browser here. It won't demo really well, but I'll just go to Google and show you there's a microphone here. And if I say, oh, okay, well, I don't know why it just did that to me. Well, there was a microphone there. There we go. This is the voice recognition that you can use on your computer. Now, it only got that part. So that's how well the voice dictation works. Start using that on your phone and your iPad. I did have one more question. Do you set up the shortcuts in Word? I think I did answer that. So, yes, if you set them up in Word, they show up everywhere. All right. So the next is Google search options. And this is one people really will like if you're a Google searcher like me. Rather than just looking for any answer, there's a button up here called Search Tools. And once you click that, you have the ability to choose any time in the past year, past month, or past week. This is a great way to get more relevant search results using Google. I've tried these other pieces where it talks about the location of the search results, but that doesn't work well for me. But this time, if it hasn't been a page that's been created in the last year, will not come up if you choose that past year. And that often helps me get more relevant information using Google search. Another really great application is called Google Now. It's available on your iPad as well as your iPhone or Android device. And what it does is essentially you give Google permission to aggregate the information they have about you from your Gmail account and any other things you're doing into an app. Now, in reality, Google has this information already. What you're giving them permission to do is actually look at it in a different way. So people get really freaked out when they use this app because if you look at the screen right now, it says movies now showing. When I took the screenshot the day before, I had Googled movies to see with my kids. So the next day, it said, hey, you're interested in movies. Here's some movies you might be interested in. It knew what town I was in. It told me the weather for that. It told me what was shipping from Amazon that I should receive today or that day because it gets my emails from Amazon and it knows. So it's a little freaky to realize how much Google knows about you, but the reality is they know that, and you're just giving them permission. It's a great app. I highly encourage you to try it. If nothing else, it'll give you an idea how much information Google knows about you. Here's another one that's really important because everybody in sales and in this industry hopefully is making a lot of money, but my guess is we're spending a lot of money as well. And Mint is my favorite personal application to manage my money. I have different credit cards. I have American Express, MasterCard. I have actually a couple different credit cards. I have a bank account. And what Mint does is I don't pay any bills from it, but it takes all the data in from all my bank accounts, checking, savings, and all my credit cards and puts them in one place. And if I stop and fill up with gas and it knows that it says, oh, you stopped at a Chevron station, therefore that's a gasoline expense. Oh, you went to Publix, that's groceries. Oh, you went to Best Buy, that's electronics. So it automatically classifies about 90% of your transactions and then builds a budget for you. And it says, wow, last month you spent $400 on gas, but every other month before that you only spent $300. What's going on? And sends you really nice warning, really great way to look at your finances, and it's free. Now, the next question people usually ask me is it secure? The answer is yes, it's very secure. It's owned by Intuit, the same people who make TurboTax and Quicken and QuickBooks. So it's very secure. The reason they do it is they don't charge anything for it, but they sell ads. So if you spend a lot of money on certain things, you'll see an ad for a new credit card that might save you money. And that's where they make their money with it. A really great app. It runs in your browser, it runs on your iPhone, and it runs on an Android device. Mint.com. Now another one, this is really helpful, and the one I mentioned somebody had asked me about. If you are doing a lot of expense reports, Expensify for $5 a month, you can take a picture of your expenses and it automatically classifies it for you to up to 50 receipts a month. Shoebox starts at $10 a month up to $100 a month. The reason Shoebox is better than Expensify is that actually goes to a human being who looks at your expenses and types it in, where Expensify is using what's called optical character recognition. But if you're dealing with expenses on a regular basis and you need a way to capture them and report on them for the IRS or for your own abilities, either one of these are two of the best options. They're apps, and they have web-based web-based apps as well. So try them both, figure out what works better for you. If you have a small need, I like Expensify. If you've got a box of receipts or a couple boxes of receipts, you can't beat Shoebox because you mail that off, they do all the work, and if you want it back, they'll mail it back. But otherwise, you get a nice, clean scan of all your documents, and they're all input into an Excel-like template for you as well. Any questions on either of those? If they'll come in, I'll take a stab at them in the next slide. While I'm talking about the next slide, this is not really a tool as much as it's something you need to do. And that is most of you spend about a third of your time actually processing email in one form or another. So when you get emails that are junk, whether they're supplier junk or just general junk, you are wasting about 600 hours or could be wasting a portion of that 600 hours a year. So I highly encourage you one day a month to take an hour, and the emails that you aren't reading on a regular basis, you just keep hitting delete, delete, go in there and unsubscribe and get them out of your system. All right, I haven't had any more questions come in, so I'm going to keep moving on. This is one I like to throw in there because it's an app that helps me a lot. I lost 30 pounds using myfitnesspal, but whether it's Fitbit or runners, I'm trying to think of the other, myfitnesspal, what's the other one I use? Map My Fitness, Map My Run, whatever it is. The thing about these things, these apps are they make you pay attention to what you eat. So I log all my food every day, and I have a friend that I'm on there with, and he gives me a hard time when I eat too much or drink too much or whatever it is that I do or don't exercise enough. Very fun, easy app to use, myfitnesspal. Won't spend a lot of time on that. Now I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite slides. And this is more for fun, but it really does make a difference in your life. So first of all, Roomba. There are $600, maybe $700 devices, and I always thought that was overkill. But I have 4 children, 12, 10, and 5-year-olds, and they make a lot of mess in the kitchen. And I'm not home a lot, and so my wife has to take care of that. And we kept buying these little sweepers that would break, and I would spend $50 every 6 to 9 months, and you know the battery would start to die out and what have you. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll buy her a Roomba. And I thought she would give me a hard time about it, and she did until she started using it. And what we found is that we actually don't vacuum hardly any room in our house anymore because Roomba does it. Every day at 11 o'clock, it goes off and starts to vacuum our entire house. Once or twice a week, we throw it upstairs and do the same thing. It doesn't fall down the stairs. It doesn't get stuck. It's a phenomenal tool, and it gives you back, whether you spend 30 minutes a week or 2 hours a week, it gives you that time back, and it does a great job. The next is the Nest, and the Nest is fun because I can stand here at my computer, and I can work, and I can say, oh, I'm hot. I don't have to walk 10 feet to change my thermostat. I can do it right from my computer, or I can do it from my phone. And in fact, when I do this webinar, when I'm in a different state, I change the temperature in my home from that state. So if it's hot outside, I turn the air up so my wife gets warmer, and it's always fun to do that and then have her yell at me later about doing that. Another one that we have, because I have children and we have an upstairs area, is the drop cam. So my kids are upstairs. I can see them and talk to them over the internet, even when I'm out of town or if I'm driving in my car using the drop cam. The drop cam is $200. The Nest is about $250, and as I mentioned, Room is about $600. And the last one is Wemo, and these are Belkin light switches that they work just like any other light, except they are on your Wi-Fi. So we have 3 of these. I can turn off lights in the kitchen, in the family room, and in our bedroom. Because I don't know about you, but in our family, the last person in bed, my wife or I, has to make sure they're the ones who turned off the light, and that's usually me, and I usually forget, so I've laid down in bed, and I got to get up and turn that light off. So I installed the Wemo, and on my phone, I just say turn off the light, and I don't have to do that anymore. So these are fun devices that make your life better. The one that saves you the most time is Roomba. The one that saves you the most money is Nest. It will absolutely save you the most money. All right. The last big application I like to talk about, and I do a whole class on this, so it's really tough to do this one in just 2 or 3 minutes, but this is Evernote. And you've probably heard about Evernote. People who use Evernote are like junkies. We want to convert you to the Evernote religion. I am not that fanatical about it, but I will say that I use it every day now. And I use it because I read a lot, and I like an article, and I want to keep it because I know I'll want that someday. So I throw it right into Evernote because I have unlimited storage there. Don't worry about it. I also keep meeting notes and any notes. Rather than create a special Word document that then I can't find, I throw it into Evernote. Now, there's still places for Word documents or business documents, but just notes and thoughts and meeting notes, they all stay in Evernote. I occasionally put receipts in my Evernote, and those are generally receipts for things like I bought an extended warranty on my car. I bought extended warranty on my tires. Those are in Evernote. So if I'm traveling around and I have a problem, I go into Evernote on my phone, I look up that document, and it's there for me. I also use contact information, which is not what I use it a lot for, but on that occasion where you think, I don't want that person in my contacts, but I may need to look them up again, I just throw their information into Evernote. But really, Evernote is about whatever you want to put into it, you can find it. The problem with Evernote is it's anything you want it to be, and it's not valuable until you put a lot into it. So people jump in, and they're all excited, but there's nothing there for them to find. And until you have 100 or more documents in there, you could have remembered all that anyhow. So I highly encourage you to try Evernote, but you need to put more into it before you ever start to pull anything out of it. This is what Evernote looks like. You have navigations on the left, much like your email folders. You have a preview here, which is kind of like file names, if you will, but you can see a little bit of the copy. And then you have the actual notes here. You have the ability to search every note across all your notebooks, and this is where the note, what it looks like. And the great thing is that it works on your mobile. It looks basically the same way. You've got your folders over here. You've got your notes in here, and when you click on a note, you get to the detailed note. So there's a bunch of ways you can use it. This is one thing that I've recommended is when you're at a trade show, you take a business card next to the item, and rather than just snapping a picture of the item, you take the supplier's business card next to it, snap that picture and put it in Evernote, and you'll remember the supplier's name and the item that you like. You can add some other copy as well. I do have a full slide on my SlideShare if you want to go look at all the different uses for Evernote. I already mentioned articles and meeting notes, but also all my travel. I do a lot of travel, and I keep all the emails that I get about travel in Evernote, and I tag them travel. Medical is also a useful one, so if you're taking care of people, your mom, your dad, your sister, somebody's got some medical issues, then you have it all shared so you can have a place, and you can share notes with other people in your family. And so medical is a good one. I also have started to take pictures of my kids where they've done something that I'm going to throw away because I can't keep everything, but I want to remember it. I take a picture of it and I put it in my Evernote. When my wife gives me a shopping list, I put it in Evernote so that when I get to the grocery store, it's there. I've talked about some of the receipts. I also take pictures of whiteboards. So if you have a if you're doing a whiteboarding session, take a picture. If you just take that picture, that's fine, and it could be in your Dropbox account, but I like to store it in my Evernote folder as well. I do use two extensions. One is a Chrome extension that adds pages to Evernote easily. So if I'm on a web page and I want to capture all of that information, I click that Chrome Evernote extension, and it takes all that web page and puts it right into my Evernote folder. The other is an Outlook plugin. Whenever I'm in Outlook, if I get an email from you, I just click the little green elephant, and it throws it right into Evernote for me, and I can tag it, which is what I do for my travel emails as well. One of the things that is now available, and it's not showing the graphic here, I'm not sure why, but is Scannable. And Scannable is basically like taking a picture of a document, but you know how when you take a picture of a document, whatever the background is also comes in with it? Well, what Scannable does is it recognizes the edge of the document, and it's the equivalent of putting it on your scanner. And what I found is I have a small inkjet scanner at my home, and it's 10 times faster to just take pictures using my phone and using Scannable than it is to scan it on the actual scanner that I have. So it's free, it's called Scannable, and it's made by Evernote. So that is the session. If there's any questions you have at this point, I'll start to answer them. If not, you'll want to write down slideshare.net/therealDaleDenham. This is how you can link up with me if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, and this is my Twitter handle. I was asked by Noel if there's a tracking mileage for IRS audits, and yes, actually, in Evernote somewhere, I do have an answer to that question, so I'm going to pull up my Evernote real quick, and I'm pretty sure that I wrote it down. Auto mileage tracking. I've got it somewhere, but I don't remember what it is. So Noel, if you will email me or Rocio, I will get back to you. I need to actually add that. There is a, I could have sworn I added it into my Evernote, but I didn't. There is one that was recommended to me for tracking, and anybody else who wants it, you can either link up with me on LinkedIn or via Twitter, and I will answer that question for you as well. Any other questions coming in, Rocio?
No, but Adrian just wants to say that this is one of the best webinars that they have attended or heard this year. Excellent job. Kudos to Dale. Yeah, everyone's saying thank you, great ideas, and I know, Dale, that I have learned quite a bit today.
Great. Well, thank you all very much.
Yeah, so everyone, we'll be uploading this webinar up to our YouTube channel. So it's there. Again, you can contact Dale at his email, or you can go to his Twitter handle or his LinkedIn address there. And Dale, thank you so much for doing this for us.
My pleasure. Thank you all for coming today.
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.